Think back for a second to all of the major shonen series you've seen and who the savior in all of these series were. In Naruto, it was Naruto, in Dragon Ball, it was Goku, and we see that in One Piece, it's Luffy, and in Bleach, it was Ichigo. And in Jujutsu Kaisen, it's Yuji? No, seriously, even though Yuji is 100% the main character of the series, will he end up being the savior of Jujutsu Kaisen like the other main characters are for their series? Because we know that although the other main characters in those series were super powerful, they all got some sort of big power up that allowed them to fight on the level of the main villain. Naruto in the Boruto series got Baryon mode, and we see that Luffy got Gear 5 when fighting against Kaido. But Yuji is different. Even though he got the main villain's curse technique, the shrine ability, it's not like Yuji immediately became Sukuna's strength. Even for the short moment that we thought he was on Sukuna's level somewhat during his fight with Sukuna, we saw that as soon as Sukuna wanted to, he just threw Yuji to the side. Time after time, Yuji has been done dirty in his own series. And even though we know that Gege isn't a conventional shonen mangaka, are we about to witness Gege take a completely different route than we have seen in recent shonen manga? Are we about to see for the first time in a while that the main character will not be the savior of their own show? Well, to answer this question, we're going to have to look at what Gege Akutami has said about Yuji Itadori and take not only what Gege has said in interviews, but also things that we know recently in the manga to determine whether or not Yuji will actually end up being the savior of the series. And also, we are closing in on 40,000 subscribers, so I want to thank you guys so much for supporting me. And yeah, thank you so much. We know that it was stated in an interview that Gege said that he was not good at handling Yuji Itadori's character. Here, Gege is asked, you once mentioned you don't really like Itadori. Why choose a character you have difficulty with as the protagonist? And Gege responds by saying, it's not that I hate him, it's just that I'm not good at handling him. I'll work on that so I'm not bad at it anymore. I'm in the process of chipping away at it rather than actively choosing to do so. So we know that already starting off, Gege is not good at handling the direction he wants to take with Yuji Itadori. Some people would say that what Gege is talking about here is this repeated cycle of having Yuji progress but then just get beat up again and become useless for a while, then have another progression, just get beat up again, then become useless for a while over and over again. I don't have that belief that Yuji is ever useless. I've seen that take on social media, but it is this reoccurring theme that Yuji, although he does grow in strength, he's never truly strong enough to save his friends. Think about this. Remember at the beginning of the series when he fought against Mahito, and then going into the Shibuya incident, he was even able to overpower a stronger Mahito and defeat him in a fight. But then when Kenjaku pulled up, Yuji was just helpless against him. Then we see in this fight with Sukuna, even with Sukuna being as weakened as he is, it seemed like Yuji was doing very well in the fight. He did land 8 black flashes, but Sukuna was just about to open up a domain expansion anyways, and as soon as Sukuna saw Yuta, he just threw Yuji to the side. Another example how even though Yuji is extremely strong, as soon as it's time to beat the main big guy, he's not strong enough to fully win. Now, maybe we're going to witness Yuji in the end come back and defeat Sukuna in a rematch, but the thing is, it would be hard to make that not awkward. If anything, it seemed like this was going to be the time for Yuji to have this true awakening, if it was even going to happen. Now, here's what I mean by this. Yes, Yuji did gain a big power-up, he got access to Sukuna's shrine technique, but even though he got access to Sukuna's shrine, as soon as Yuta pulled up, his fight with Sukuna just got cut short. Every time throughout the series that Yuji has been successful in fights that we thought were major, as soon as a bigger player comes into the picture, he just gets cut short again. So the thing is, it seemed like this was going to be his moment. We even got the comeback of Todo, somebody who was a beloved character in Jujutsu Kaisen and was Yuji's best duo. Even when Todo came back to fight with Yuji against the main villain, their fight was just cut short. So now you have to find this way for Sukuna to end this fight with Yuta in whatever condition he's in. Yuji is then going to come in and have his moment again. Basically, all I'm saying is when you finally have the main character get his moment to stick it to Sukuna, which is what Yuji was doing here. 8 black flashes plus he got Todo to fight alongside him. And during this fight, he got access to the shrine technique. Everything came together for this to be the perfect revenge moment for Yuji, but in the middle of it, Yuta pulls up and takes the spotlight away from him. So even if, say, Sukuna does defeat Yuta, and then Yuji goes back to fight Sukuna again, it would just be a bit underwhelming because all of those factors I listed before won't be the same in the rematch with Sukuna. But you see, the thing is, what's going on in Jujutsu Kaisen I have never seen in any shonen manga before. And if you guys have ever seen what's happening currently in JJK, please let me know, because what we are witnessing is essentially the second main character inside the third main character's body, pushing the main character aside to fight against the main villain. I have never seen anything even remotely close to this in a shonen manga before, so it's no surprise that Gege is having such an awkward time pulling this off. In the fanbook, we have a direct statement from Gege saying that he didn't know what to do at the beginning of the series to improve Yuji Itadori's strength, so he just decided to just have Yuji grow by losing battles. And here we see Gege verbatim say that doing this instead of having a training arc should just be convincing enough for Yuji growing in strength. And then remember the part where Yuji watched movies to control his curse energy? Gege says that he took that from Naruto. Remember when Kakashi was teaching Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura how to climb trees? Well, Gege says that he used that as a reference to use this part of the watching movies in Jujutsu Kaisen. So here in this one screenshot, we see Gege saying that he just settled on Yuji growing stronger through battles because he didn't want to write a training arc, thought that would be convincing enough for readers, and then we see that Gege decided to use Kakashi's climbing trees as a reference to have Yuji learn how to control his curse energy. So with what is being said here, we are seeing this be a direct callback to what I talked about earlier, where in that interview Gege said that he didn't know exactly how to handle Yuji's character, so he just settled on things that would be convincing enough for readers to enjoy, and then just used references from Naruto to basically sum the whole thing up. It is very clear that Gege is not 100% confident in the direction that Yuji should take in the series. Everything I've told you so far are reasons to be unsure whether or not Yuji will even end up being the savior of Jujutsu Kaisen, because this is one of a kind, the situation that we are seeing currently. In every other major shonen manga, you can see similarities between them, but as I said earlier, what we are witnessing now is something that I have never seen in shonen manga before. And on top of that, the mangaka of Jujutsu Kaisen has self-admittedly said he doesn't know how to handle Yuji Itadori that well. So even though it is completely up in the air whether or not Gege would take the conventional route of having the main character save the series, do we have enough information to guess whether or not Yuji will be the savior or not? Well, if I had to say, I do think that Yuji will be the one to end up saving Jujutsu Kaisen. Even though Gege has been unconventional in a bunch of things throughout JJK, I think when it comes to this trope, the main character saving the manga trope, Gege will just fall in line with this, and here is why I think this. Even though it is true that on some level the writing with Yuji Itadori has been repetitive, one thing for certain is that in the end, Yuji always wins. Against Mahito, even though Mahito escaped at the beginning of the series, Yuji, when he rematched him in Shibuya, actually defeated him. And well, even though Yuji wasn't the person to kill Mahito, Kenjaku ended up swallowing Mahito, and this was because Yuji had beaten Mahito to a pulp. And if you look at any major series, one thing that every main character has that usually leads their drive against the main villain is their resolve, and Yuji has some of the most resolve I have ever seen in a shonen protagonist. Yuji, for the entirety of Jujutsu Kaisen, has been building up hate for Sukuna. We've even seen Yuji say that he will eat anything, he will do anything if it means killing Sukuna. Yuji would even no doubt sacrifice himself in order to kill Sukuna. So Yuji has the most resolve I've seen recently in any shonen series. You can just see panels of Yuji walking through slashes, getting thrown through buildings, and still moving forward. It doesn't matter what Sukuna does to Yuji. At the end of the day, he will never be able to put Yuji down for good. Yuji has one thing that I don't see a lot in other shonen protagonists, and that is the fact that He doesn't have extremely high durability, but he has extremely high regeneration and extreme grit. Even though Sukuna is successful in slashing Yuji whenever he tries to slash him, it never is enough to stop Yuji from moving forward. Normally you will see in other series the main character gets so strong that the villain can't even hurt them anymore, or even if the villain can hurt them, it's never enough to do serious damage to the protagonist. But Yuji is the complete opposite. Sukuna can do as much damage to Yuji as he wants. Every slash hurts, but Yuji continues to move forward. I love this idea that Gege took with Yuji, given that we will see all of the damage that Yuji takes and how much it pains Yuji, but in the end, he will do whatever it takes to defeat Sukuna. And there is one more thing that I want your guys' opinion on, because nobody truly has the answer to this. We know that in a Gege interview from a while ago, Gege said that out of the 4 main characters, being Gojo, Nobara, Yuji, and Megumi, either one of them will die and the other 3 will live, or 3 of them will die and only one of them will live. So we know that Gojo is already dead. So the future situation will either be Gojo is the only person who will die and Megumi, Yuji, and Nobara will all live, or Gojo, Megumi, and Nobara will be the ones dead and Yuji will end up living. These are the most likely scenarios. Gege definitely could take some sort of twisted route where Megumi ends up the only one alive, or even Nobara ends up the only person living, but I think it's most likely it will be Yuji. But at the end of the day, nobody has the answer to this, and once again, this is Gege being extremely mysterious, leaving it completely unknown what is next for Yuji. To be honest, I don't know if Yuji will end up being the main savior of Jujutsu Kaisen. I definitely think he's going to play a part, you know, of course he is the main character and he will be fighting Sukuna like he already has, but I don't know if he's going to be the one to put the nail in the coffin. Everything I've said so far is just things that Gege has said that make it questionable but not definitive. If I absolutely had to answer, then I would say I think Yuji will end up being the savior of Jujutsu Kaisen, but at the end of the day, nobody truly knows. The only thing we can do is wait and see, but I am very curious as to what you guys think. So if you have an answer to whether or not Yuji will be the one to save everything, then please let me know in the comments below. With that being said, I want to thank you so much for reaching the end of the video, and if you enjoyed, then I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as I do post on different topics that you guys give me and topics that I come up with on my own. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.